sack. No, gets away. He runs, gets away again, goes to the 40, gets away again to the 35.
Hungry dogs run faster.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Having Juice with OJ. Today's a little bit different of an episode where I have my boy who I played baseball with my entire career. He's probably the biggest Philly fan I know, Juan Gonzalez. What's good, my man?
What's going on, guys? I'm happy to be back. It's been a little bit, but I'm ready to get into some friendly banter with my fellow Celtics fan here.
As we should. So we're just going to start off right away. It's been a little while since basketball. We've been watching a lot of baseball recently, but we're going to, on Thursday, have Game 1, Celtics versus Mavericks. This episode will be coming out Friday, so we got to make some predictions for the guys.
Okay.
How many games do you think this series goes, Juan?
I feel like it's going to go at least 6, probably 7, though. I feel like this is just one of those series that it's going to be a tale of each game is going to be a different story. I feel like you might get a couple blowouts here and there and a couple really close games, but I feel like the whole series is going to be a tough battle. So I'm seeing at least 6, probably 7 though.
Yeah, if I was to guess, I'm going 7. Celtics are winning the series in my head.
Of course.
I mean, come on.
Course,
I got to rep the gear today.
Of course he does.
I will say that it's hard for me to make that prediction because it can easily go the other way with the tandem, the dynamic duo, Kyrie and Luka. So I'm not feeling the best about it because those two can give you 35 points each, but their supporting cast doesn't do it for me. What do you think the X factors are for this series for both the Mavericks and the Celtics?
Well, for the Mavs, it's pretty simple. It's will Luka play up to what he's been doing? I mean, he went off against the Timberwolves. He had, averaged 32, and they were the, number 1 defense in the league. I think the Celtics are the number 2 defense in the league. So if he can keep doing that, he's going to have to get other people involved. They're going to have to hit shots, but point blank period is if Luka can put up, 35, 9 and 9 a game, I feel like the Mavericks have a good chance. And if not, then I feel like they don't really have a good chance. He's going to have to keep them competitive. For the Celtics, I mean, it's defending Luka. It's making sure he doesn't put up the 35, 9 and 9, making sure that he's not absolutely torching you every night. I think you're okay with Kyrie kind of killing you more than you are Luka killing you. So just making sure you're defending Luka, to me, is the Celtics' biggest X factor.
We were talking about right before this episode, Jaylen Brown has to be matching up with Luka the entire series. He has to stay on him. I don't care if that hurts his offense a little bit with how much he's putting into defense, which we've seen it really hasn't. So I'm not too worried. I'm okay with Kyrie giving me 35 any given night as long as Luka's only giving me 25 and below.
Yeah.
So I would say my X factors were a tad bit different because I kind of stayed away from the duo because we already know what they can give you. I'm going Derek Lively pick and roll action. They really got to make that work. They've got to get him in there. They've got to get him scoring points. And I went PJ Washington threes.
Yeah.
He's got to hit those corner threes. He has to be available to shoot those threes. That means that the Celtics defense probably isn't doing their job against Luka or Kyrie.
It's funny. I have a stat here, actually. Dallas takes the most corner threes in the league, and Boston has the lowest percentage on corner threes against them in the league. So something that you just brought up, that's a great matchup. Sorry, you've got PJ that loves to sit in the corner. The Mavs are great at driving and kicking to the corners, and the Celtics basically want to make sure they don't give up those corner threes. So, like you said, if they can keep that to a minimum, then the Celtics – on paper are the better team, but we've seen the Mavericks just play so well these last couple months. I mean, since I think it was March or something like that, they finished the season 16-2 and had a top offensive rating. So it'll all come down to who can defend better, in my opinion.
I agree. And in my head, the Celtics are 100% a better defensive team. It would have been more interesting for me to see the Timberwolves in this matchup. I feel like both because they have the 2 best defensive teams in the league. It would have been a way different type of series. But as we saw, they had no chance against them. So now we've got the Mavs here. That's why I feel a little bit more confident versus the Mavs than I would have the Timberwolves. I think the Timberwolves just had a tough beating going against the Nuggets. That's a hard series to come off of. You're drained after that. But the Mavs, like I said, Derek Lively pick and roll, PJ Washington threes. For the Celtics, I'm going to have to go Jaylen Brown and Drew Holiday. Those two are my big X factors. Drew Holiday last year, he's really showed up. First game, drops like 28 points. Next game, 15. I'm fine with that. Like that was something that nobody really saw coming that much, but we should know as a champion, he does do those things.
Yeah, he can score for sure.
Yeah, so it's really dope to see him really fill that role when Derek White started kind of fading out after having just an insane stretch in the playoffs. We knew it would happen. It's a game of runs. That's what happens. And now passing the torch to Drew Holiday and his lockdown defense has been absolutely insane. If those two can hold off Kyrie, I feel very confident in this series. What do you think about those two matching up with Kyrie?
I mean, we were talking earlier about how you don't want to switch Luka and Kyrie. Like, you kind of want to keep your defenders on them. But if those two are switching, I think it's fine because those are your best defenders on the floor. That's what you brought Drew in to be a guard stopper, right? And so that's what he's going to have to do right now. I think you guys should be confident, and the Celtics should be able to. You're not going to stop Kyrie, right? He's one of those players. He's going to get his. Yeah. But if you can contain him, not let him, he's shooting like 49% from three right now or something like that, 42%. If you can contain that, I like the Celtics' odds of containing Kyrie. It's Luka that I'm really worried about. I think that he can just determine the game. I think on another Celtics point, I think Tatum's got to find the three ball. He's taking 7 a game right now, and he's only shooting 29%. I feel like he's got to get that going. And if he does, it just makes your offense that's already very good much better. You know what I mean? Like, I think that's got to be a vocal point. But in the same breath, do you really need Tatum taking 7 threes a game? I don't know if you do. I don't know if you do. I feel like he's at best when he's getting to the rim. That's when I love Tatum. But
yeah, no, I agree. He's been chucking a lot of threes, and they haven't been going down that much. Last series, he really struggled in the beginning. He started catching up. He had like 5 threes later in the series. But overall, absolutely horrid performances. I feel like even when he dropped that like 36 bomb in OT, it really shouldn't have been 36. He really shouldn't have had it. It was a really ugly 36. And he's really been like kind of hurting my ego that I have for Jason Tatum. And Jaylen Brown has just been he's been the team so far. It feels like he's really brought it. I mean, him winning that Eastern Conference MVP when he said, "Man, I never win shit."
Yeah, I don't win anything, man. I wasn't expecting that.
Yeah, so that was pretty cool. I think this is also going to be an interesting series, not only because of the gameplay, but because of Kyrie's return to versing the Celtics.
For sure.
We all know what happened with Kyrie when he was with the Celtics. He completely destroyed and depleted the team.
Yeah.
And back then, he was looked at as a cancer. And all of a sudden, going to the Mavs kind of revived his career. It's been really cool to see. I think they got a D grade on his trade going to the Mavs, which is insane. They actually brought it. Yeah, exactly. They're in the finals, and they brought it up to them in an interview, and Luka was like, a D grade. You got a D grade? Like, that's insane.
That is.
Kyrie with the Mavericks. How do we feel about how that planned out for his career? Because he's later in his career, he's a veteran now, and he's with this youngerish team.
I always thought it was a great move. I mean, they needed an on-ball guard. Luka was doing absolutely everything, and he can do everything, but you take some pressure off of him and you let somebody like a Kyrie Irving take over, and it's just a recipe for success, in my opinion. So I think that it was great for Kyrie. I think Brooklyn, that was a move to chase rings and join Harden and KD, and it didn't really work out for him.
That's an F grade.
That's an F grade for sure. And then if you look back on that trade, I don't really know what the Nets got back, but,
bag of chips.
A bag of chips. And the Mavs are in the finals. So in hindsight, it's an easy A, in my opinion. And it was great for Kyrie's career because even if he doesn't end up staying with the Mavs, he's built a career, and he's already won a championship. He could win another one here. And if he does, it's going to be because he and Luka led the team. And I think that's great for him. I think it's great for his career.
Yeah, it's been awesome. This is the most available he's been in years.
Yeah, that's it.
So it's been really cool to see. I'm happy for him, and good job, Kyrie, man. Just because we're going to segue right out of basketball, we've been watching a lot of baseball recently, Juan. I mean, that's what we've had. It's the only thing, that and NHL is the only thing we've had since it's been like a week off. It sucked, I feel like, because I love basketball. But it's good because it kind of pushes off the end for us. The top teams in the league right now, Juan, who are you feeling is at the top and will stay at the top?
I think the Yankees and the Phillies are both just juggernaut lineups, and the Yankees will eventually get Cole back, and their pitching rotation will be – it's already good, but it'll be better than it is now. And then the Phillies, they've shown you, sure, they're not playing amazing teams, but you're supposed to beat bad teams. So those are the two easy answers. Last year we talked, and I told you how I liked Baltimore, and they ended up winning the division. They're 38-20 right now. They're only a couple games back. I could see them easily making another run. The two AL East teams are going to make the playoffs, those top two teams. And so then it just becomes a dogfight for those other wild card spots. But to me, the top teams, the Yankees, the Phillies, and then the Dodgers, the Dodgers are going to be great.
It's so annoing.
Yeah, it is. It is, because they're just, yeah. They're the Dodgers.
There's nothing to say about them.
Yeah.
I totally agree with you on those. I have one more to add that I need your opinion about, but let me start off. The Yankees are the best team in baseball, in my opinion.
Okay.
They're going to have a 6-man rotation, and if they don't, they'll throw Nestor into the bullpen. If anything, Nestor's been hard. Clark Schmidt just got injured. I think he's out for a month and a half plus, which hurts the starting rotation for them. But Luis Gil, I think it is, under a 2 ERA right now.
Yeah,
he's like
filthy.
7-1. He's
Filthy, yeah.
He's an absolute dog off a big injury last year too. So it's been interesting. But once Garrett Cole's back, that's huge.
Yeah,
that's
Young
huge
winner.
for them. Exactly, Cy Young winner. 42-19 they are. Orioles, man. I mean, you said it last year. I totally agreed with you. That team's sick. Gunnar Henderson, Adley. I love that duo. It's just beautiful to watch. Their pitching is on par.
Yep. Got better with Burns.
Yeah, I even like Westberg. Yeah, but Burns, that's really hard for them. Didn't he got injured, right?
Yeah, I think he did. But still, you bring in somebody like that. Like that team they're homegrown, and then they bring in pieces that they need to bring in. I think it's great. And they don't have Bautista this year. He got hurt last year.
Yeah.
That team's gonna be a juggernaut in the future too. That AL East, those top two teams are just gonna battle. It's gonna be like the AL East and the NL East are just gonna be dogfights the next 5 years.
For sure. Dodgers again, they're number one in a lot of power rankings right now. But of course they're expected over 100 wins.
Yeah.
Blah blah blah. It's so annoying, but
As they should.
Yeah, as they should. They have an insane squad. Their top 5 batters are just insane.
Yep.
Like let me run down the list for the people that are out there that have no idea how good they are. Mookie Betts, batting 1.
Yep.
Shohei Ohtani, batting 2. Freddie Freeman, batting 3. Will Smith, 4. Max Muncy, 5. Teoscar Hernandez, Gavin Lux even. Like, that's an insane lineup that's very hard to stop. But they will fold in the playoffs. I do not care.
That's 3 MVPs in your first 3 hitters.
Yes.
That's crazy. Mookie, Shohei, and Freddie have all won MVPs. That's nuts. Yeah, I mean that like you said, that's a team. They're similar to the Celtics in my opinion, where they almost always get there and then they fold up. And even in the Dodgers case, they don't even get past the wild card round a lot of times. A lot of times they either lose in the wild card or lose in the NLDS. Like it'll be interesting to see where they go. I think that the NL playoff run it's so tight. You have 10 teams basically battling for those 3 wild card spots. Atlanta's pretty comfortably in the lead, but then after that you've got Atlanta, or not Atlanta. You got San Diego, San Francisco, Arizona, Pittsburgh, Washington, Cincinnati. Then the Mets are only 4 games back too. Like I'm really interested to see how that plays out because those wild card series are so much fun to watch. Like those 3-game series, anybody can do anything. You saw the Diamondbacks last year make it to the World Series as a wild card team, like Phillies the year before. So I'm interested to see how that plays out.
Yeah, I got a question about the Diamondbacks for you, Juan. I mean, last year we saw what they did. It's a Cinderella run. Yeah. And I feel like a lot of GMs started sitting back and thinking that they don't even need 100 wins, that as long as you have a secured spot in the wild card, you can 100% make a run. The Diamondbacks have not looked that good this year.
Yeah, they have.
What do you think the issue is with that team?
I don't know. Maybe so. Corbin Carroll just doesn't look the same at all. I saw something that he hurt himself on a swing, and since then he's just not looked the same, and he doesn't feel great. I'm not sure. They signed Jordan Montgomery. They signed pitcher Eduardo Rodriguez. So like, I don't quite know. Maybe it was a little bit of a hangover. Maybe this is just who they really are, and they caught fire last year at the right time, similar to the Phillies the year before. But I don't know if the moves they made in the offseason were necessarily the best moves. The pitching was fine, but you brought in Jock Peterson. He's not really doing anything. It's hard to put a finger on what their real problem is, but to me, this might just be who they are. They might just be a bottom wild card team, you know? That just might be where they linger.
Yeah, I kind of agree with that. I don't see them being like that top dog, just like some of the teams we've named. I mean, there's different type of markets, and they're not that type of market.
Yeah. So
that totally makes sense. My main question I had earlier is about the Atlanta Braves this year. I mean,
injuries.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on fully over there because sometimes they're on, sometimes they're off. Ronald Acuna. That's so sad.
Horrible, yeah. Horrible.
So sad. Like, on it for baseball, that's sad.
Yeah, I'm a big Acuna fan.
Yeah.
Big Acuna fan.
So, what do we see them doing without Ronald?
There's nothing really. You can't replace that. There's not really replacing an MVP. What's funny about baseball is that people try and dig into the numbers and try and find a way to replace the value that he was bringing you.
It's
and
impossible.
Somebody like that, you can't do that with. You can't replace 40 and 70. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And you can't replace that arm in right field. You can't replace his speed on the bases, all in one player. So to me, it's just going to be a what can you do now? Let the manager Snicker kind of figure it out on their own. They already lost Strider. They lost Acuna. That's their two best players. I mean, at this point, you're just kind of playing to see what you can do. And like we were just saying earlier, you get into that wild card spot, and who knows? Who knows what happens, you know? Maybe they play a team like the Cardinals or something that wins the Central, or the Brewers, and next thing you know, they're in. They're playing us, or they're playing whoever, the Dodgers. And it's just how it goes in baseball, you know? So, but there's no replacing Acuna. There's no replacing Strider. It's unfortunate.
Yeah, it's definitely sad for the Braves. That's something that hasn't really happened. I mean, Acuna's been on and off, but Strider was a big hit, I feel like, except for the Phillies, apparently.
Yeah. Yeah.
Apparently it's easy for them.
The Philly fans of me is like, all right, don't have to face him anymore. But for baseball, it's not good. It's not good.
Yeah, we're going to move on from the top dogs that we were just talking about and kind of sneak over to potential sleeper teams. I've got a couple in mind. I'm just going to name some off, and we can talk a little bit about them. I got some Milwaukee Brewers.
I've always liked the Brewers. I feel like they're just well coached. I feel like they develop talent really well.
Yeah.
They bring in our boy Rhys Hoskins. He's playing well right now. He got hurt, but he's back now. Shout out to him last night for that reunion. That was pretty cool.
Yeah. Were you happy about that everyone was happy he was home?
Yeah, I was pretty. I had mixed feelings about Rhys when he was here. I'll be honest. I always felt like he could have been better, but he did so much for the city that it's nice to see us not be bitter. Yeah, and actually,
I was actually very surprised.
Yeah. So it was cool. It was cool with the umpire, let it happen. We weren't doing pitch clock violations anymore for ovations. But I like the Brewers a lot. I think they're good. I think their bullpen every year just becomes unstoppable. Colby Milner's really good. I like the Brewers a lot. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a big fan of the Brewers. My only issue is sometimes they get in a hitting slump where all of a sudden everyone forgets how to hit, and I've been on the losing end of that multiple times with sports betting. So that's been absolutely hard. But I love William Contreras as a catcher. I think he's emerged as one of the great players. Some of the people who've overcome injuries like Willie Adames, Christian Yelich, they've really overcome some pretty rough injuries themselves, and it's been nice to finally be able to see what they can do. I mean, Christian's fine. He was supposed to be like the next Aaron Judge. Yeah, that's what people put on his back, and even though he's not that, I still like him as a player.
Yeah, he's awesome.
Yeah. So, I mean, their pitching depth will probably be the most tested thing, I think, if they start making a run. But I think that they can improve a lot and potentially make a little run. My second team I kind of thought about was the Cleveland Guardians.
Okay.
I feel like they're a little bit of a scary team. Their playoff percentage went up heavily in the beginning of the season when they started off 20-11 or some shit like that. And I do like their team. They score a lot of runs. When I watch them play, I see them score a lot of runs. They might lose those games because they're pitching.
Yeah, it's rough.
Yeah. So what do you think about the Cleveland Guardians if they have a chance in the playoffs, if any.
So it's funny. I like Kansas City. I think Kansas City.
Yeah?
I think Kansas City is
Bobby
cool.
Witt?
Yeah, big Bobby Witt guy. I think that they're just a young team. They're not a Orioles-esque team, but similar in the fact where they're young and they're kind of putting it together this year, and you can see that they're clicking as a team. The Guardians, it's interesting, right? I saw something AJ Pierzynski said where they took out like a wing of their stadium, and it basically allowed balls to fly out faster because that part was blocking wind or allowing wind.
On the right side.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so now their home runs are like third in the league where they were like 29th or something the year before. So I think that's interesting how like a little tweak like that can kind of make you a better team.
Yeah.
Especially when you're at home. I think the Guardians are good. I'm a big Jose Ramirez fan. I like Andres Jimenez. But I don't know. I feel like the Royals are on their tails, and I can see the Royals catching them a bit. I think that division is going to be interesting to watch because the Twins aren't far behind either. Yeah. And the Twins are the proven team. They're the ones that have made it the last couple of years. So I think that division is going to be tough. I can see why you like Cleveland, but I feel like Cleveland's going to fold a bit. Yeah,
I can 100% see that. I'm not going to lie. I like Royals. I like them on my sports betting account, and I also like them when I watch them play. Yeah. Bobby Wood Jr., I had him a long time in my MLB The Show team because that dude's fast.
I just took him out. I was sad about it.
Me too. Yeah. Moving on past those two teams because I am excited about that division. We've got, I believe in the Texas Rangers. Okay. It's a sleeper. It's not a sleeper, whatever people want to say. I really do like them. They made a surprise run, obviously, last year, but Corey Seager is one of my favorite baseball players, I think.
Yeah, he's a monster.
Right now, he's an absolute monster. I feel like even last year when he was having a dominant season, both in the field and hitting, he was still undervalued and not talked about a bunch. And he's doing the same thing this year. He's still having a dominant season, but you won't hear SportsCenter talking about that.
No, you won't. I don't know why. I mean, last year he got hurt for a little bit. Yeah. So that kind of hurt his chances on like MVP, but he hit like 369 last year or something like that. Yeah.
And he was batting above 400 for like at least 20 games.
Yeah, it was insane. I like the Rangers a lot. It's hard for me to count out the Astros. They started off horrible.
They are horrible right now.
They started off horrible, but they've kind of picked it up a bit. It'd be interesting to me to see what they do. I saw something that they're looking at possibly trading Kyle Tucker.
I don't know if that's too smart.
I don't know if it's too smart either. If you're going to become a seller, I feel like you should sell your older talent rather than your younger talent.
100%.
It's hard for me to count them out. I do like Texas, though. They just proved to you last year that they can do it, and they've got a good pitching staff. They've got a lineup that's just can click at any point, you know. When you've got Simeon, Garcia, and Seager and your top four hitters, and then Jonah Heim's also a stud.
Yeah, he is.
That team,
nice catcher right there.
That team, switch hitting catcher. That team's nice, but I don't know. It's hard. Like I said, it's hard for me to roll out the Astros just because I've seen it the last 8 years, you know.
100%. Those were all the teams I had in my notes with sleepers. Did you have any extra ones that I missed there?
I think that teams like San Diego could kind of sneak up. They're not going to catch the Dodgers. Yeah, but they could kind of separate themselves in that wild card category. They've got the pitching. Their lineup is solid. It could use a bit of power. Yeah. You got Arias who's going to get on base. But you don't have much pop in that lineup. Your pop is coming from Machado, who's going to hit you 30 home runs a year, but he's not. He shouldn't be your main source of pop. You know what I mean? Yeah. But if they go out and get a bat at the deadline, or even like there's people still available, like CJ Cron, like just some pop off the bench, or somebody that can DH every now and then. I like San Diego. And then San Francisco is another one of those teams that I watched them play the Phillies the other week, and I was like, this team's not bad. Like watching them play, they know what to do. They play the game well. That's just a team that I could see just kind of sneaking around and staying in the mix the whole time. But yeah, I think the Royals are my main sleeper team.
That's
I like the Royals.
Sleeper. Yeah, I love it. My main would probably be Rangers.
The Rangers,
just sitting there. Yeah. I like both of those. We're going to stick with the baseball talk here, Juan, but we're going to talk about something a little bit different that's happening in sports and happening a little bit too often.
Way too often.
Sports betting within sports. it's been very ugly. It started off with, well, it didn't start off. There was a lot of other people like that got in trouble for it in other sports, but Shohei Ohtani and his interpreter, actually, my bad. Shohei didn't do it. His interpreter bet a large lump sum of money, and now we've got a new guy, Marcano, I believe is how you say his name.
Yeah.
Has been banned for life for violating MLB gambling policies. MLB just announced today. There's some other players like Jay Groom, who's actually a Jersey native, so RIP to that for him. Jose Rodriguez, Phillies guy. Diamondbacks, Andrew Salfrank, I believe is how you say it. Yeah. And Athletics, Michael Kelly. All been suspended for a year for violating the gambling policy. What do you think about this, Juan? Because this is going to start coming out with more people.
I think it's stupid. I think that you need to be smarter as a professional athlete. I know, like, you and I would have both, we both thrived to be in that position when we were kids.
Yeah.
And to see people throw it away off of stupid stuff like that, to me, it just makes no sense. Like, you need to be smarter. There's no reason to be betting on baseball. To me, if you're going to bet, it is legal now in most states. You need to know the rules of it. You know what I mean? You need to make sure you're being very, very, what's the word I'm looking for? Diligent, right, with what you're doing in your processes. You can't get caught up in this stuff because they are going to make an example out of you, and they should. And they should, because they can't have this in the game. It's not good for the integrity of the game at all.
Yeah, you sent me a post earlier today, right after I said it.
Read that one.
It says, Marcano has won only 4.3% of the 231 MLB-related bets he placed. So it's not even like he was sharp at this, John. It's not like he was good at betting. It's not like he was winning money, people. He was losing.
Yeah, and now he's out.
Now he's gone forever. R.I.P. to the boy. It is sad to see, but also good to see. But we also know that this definitely happens more often than not than we already know.
Yeah, for sure.
And you go.
No, it's just a matter of time before more and more start to come out. You've seen it in football. You saw it with Jonte Porter. Now you're seeing it more in baseball. It's just, like I said, to me, it's just stupid. You've got to be smarter than that. You can't put your career at risk. And to me, it's one of those, if you don't want to play sports, nobody's really forcing you to, you know? If you want to gamble, then go gamble. But you just can't put yourself in that position. That's the bottom line to me. You are putting yourself and your family and everybody else that you have worked so hard to support in a bad spot, because now your name is all over the headlines. There's articles everywhere about you. Your face is planted everywhere. It's just not a good look at all. Not a good look.
100%. The gambling stuff will keep on flowing out. Shohei will be the only one who will not get in trouble for it. I guarantee it. I get the Charles Barkley guarantee on that one.
And David Fletcher apparently too, I guess. He was betting with Shohei's interpreter's bookie, and he's still out here. He's throwing knuckleballs for the Braves AAA team, so I guess he's fine too.
But that's that on the gambling portion of what we're going to talk about today. To close it up real quick, guys, we had the biggest wide receiver contract in NFL history done by yours truly, Justin Jefferson. 4 years, $140 million. How do we feel about that contract, Juan?
I think it's smart on both sides. We were talking about this before. It puts Jefferson in a situation where basically his contract is over when J.J. McCarthy's contract is over. So if he realizes, hey, I don't like playing with this guy, then he's just a free agent again, and he can go and get another bag. Because the market's just going to keep growing and growing and growing. And then on the same side, the Vikings get him for $35 a year. I thought he'd get at least $38. So to me, that's a good deal for the Vikings. I think all around took a little long, but I think it works for both sides, and both sides should be happy about the deal.
And to go off of that, there's been a lot of talk about CeeDee Lamb's contract. He will not be at mandatory camp. What do you expect to come out of this, and how much money do you think he's going to make compared to Jjettas?
Ooh, compared to Jjettas, I feel like I don't think he should get more, but I feel like there's a chance he does.
Yeah?
Just off of setting markets, just off of being like, hey, even if it's one of those things where he gets $1 more million or $500,000 more than Jjettas, you know, just to set that like I'm the highest paid receiver mark. To me, that's a player you should have paid last year.
Yes.
I don't even think you should let it get to this point where he's holding out. That's just bad business to me. And they're in a bad spot. They've got a lot of people to pay. They've got to pay Parsons. They got to pay Dak. They got to pay him. So it's kind of like, who are you not going to pay?
Yeah.
I feel like he ends up staying there. It's only right. It's only right in my opinion, but I feel like he should get around the same as Jefferson. Maybe 33.5 a year, 34 a year if he's not going to go over. Yeah. But you got to get that done.
Yeah.
You've got to get that done.
I agree. They cannot just keep holding this one off. I'm going to say he sits between 32 to 34. I think he goes just a little bit south of his number. I think Jjettas has clearly shown he's the best receiver in the league. Yeah. I don't think that they can go above. I think it would be very difficult to do that, except the Dallas Cowboys. Almost said the Mavericks. The Dallas Cowboys. They need him to stay. So if they need be, I could see him going over $500,000.
Yeah.
Did Smitty sign too early?
Yes and no. That's a question more for him, you know?
Yeah.
And when you look at it in the grand, like in the scheme of the market, sure, he signed too early because he only got like 25 a year or something like that.
Something like that. Some slight, just
sure. You
25.
can say he signed too early, but in the same breath, if he wanted to stay here, and it's a similar situation, he's got 4 or 5 years here, and then he's a free agent again, where he's basically in his prime or back end of his prime, but he's going to get another check. But he probably wanted to stay here. He just started a family. It's easy to say, yeah, he signed too early. But if he wanted to be here and that was the number that he wanted, then who cares?
And so be it.
Exactly. He got what he wanted.
I agree. I mean, he bought that little home he has. He's feeling good about himself.
Yeah,
he's happy to be in Philly, I'm sure.
And it's one of those, like, it's hard to sit back and when you're making 25 a year and be like, damn, that 10 is great.
Yeah.
But, like, you know, like, if that's what he went in wanting and that was the market when he signed, then I'm sure he's not too mad at it.
Yeah.
And like I said, the way that these markets and contracts work nowadays, in 2 years, he's going to go to them again and be like, hey, I outperformed this.
Yep.
And they'll extend him again. Or they'll
100%.
trade him. I don't want to trade him, but, you know.
Yeah.
It'll get to a point where that contract gets redone because that's just how it works now. So.
Yeah.
No, I don't think he signed too early. As an Eagles fan, too.
Yeah. As an Eagles fan, you definitely wanted to get that done.
Yeah, we'll take it.
100%. That concludes our episode, Juan. Thank you so much for coming on.
Yeah, man. It's always a blast. Always fun here.
It's always fun talking some sports. Like, comment, subscribe below. Tell us how you feel about the Celtics-Mavs series, how you feel about the MLB right now, and how you feel about Jjettas being the highest paid receiver. Thank you so much, guys. See you next week.
In trouble. He's going to be sacked. No, gets away. He runs, gets away.